Today we're comparing the 2023 Ford F-150 to the 2023 Toyota Tundra. Which one is the better option? Let's roll! Before we start talking about these two, let's talk about the trims. On this side, we have the 2023 Tundra Limited Platinum. Meanwhile, on this side, we have the 2023 F-150 Limited Powerboost. Now, here's one thing that I'll say before we get to the other details. Unfortunately, the hybrid Tundra was not available, and I know you guys are gonna kill me for this. Well, Sam, you should have a hybrid, yes. But in Canada, we're lucky enough to even get press cars, let alone the right trim. So we gotta work with what we have. Let us move on with the exterior. First of all, which one do I like out of the two? And of course, you can leave your own comment in the section below. I like the Tundra. Yeah, it's crazy. I actually like the Tundra. I love the front end, it's so aggressive. Then the rear end, even better. I absolutely love the tail lights on this thing. The F-150 looks just like another F-150. The chrome finish wheels, not the biggest fan. The front end over here, it's okay. I think the Tundra stands out better. The grille is beautiful. The headlights are designed perfectly. Absolutely love this thing. Now, let's move on to the tech features on the outside. And let's start first with the F-150. Here's what you need to know about the F-150. The model we have for today's video has these beautiful running boards which automatically opens up. And before you start hating on me about the Tundra, yes, I know the Tundra also gets the option for the running boards, but the difference is that the one in the Tundra are set. They're not hidden like these in the F-150. So when you open it, the running boards come out, and then when you get inside, they go in, so that way it doesn't obstruct anything, but they also protect the underneath. And look at that. Beautiful. So you don't even see them, and then you open it, bang on. Absolutely love that. Now, why is that important? It's a nice touch. It's a nice compliment. Let's move on to the back side over here with the F-150, because even this rear end has a few things that I absolutely love about the F-150. First of all, the tailgate, this massive chrome finish, which I'm not a big fan of it. Again, I like the Tundra. The tailgate in this case, it is powered. So you have button located into the key fob. You press it twice and it automatically opens. Now you might say, well, wait a second, doesn't the Tundra have that? Yes and no. But here's what the F-150 has, which again is very important, especially for people that have difficult time getting into things that are higher off the ground. Look at that. Pull this, and then you have this lever. Step into this, and up you go. Now, I haven't finished because the F-150 has a few more goodies in here. First of all, it has 1, 2, so you know step by step how to actually close this. You slide this all the way inside, and here you go. The F-150 actually has a tape in here. Yes, a measuring tape this side. You have it in inches and centimeters. Yes, for both sides. If you don't understand inches, you got centimeters. So you can use this thing here. Maybe if you're going fishing and you want to find out the length of the fish, well, guess what? You have that. There's also a beer opener onto this side in case if you're enjoying a nice beer while fishing. Again, non-alcoholic. It gives you that option. What else does this thing offer? Well, let me show you one of my favorite things about the F-150, specifically the Powerboost that we have for today's video. If you come closer onto this side, this bad boy doesn't just have standard 120 volts plugs, it actually has a built-in generator. What does that mean? Well, you don't actually have to have the vehicle running to get the power, and Ford says, and I'm going to quote exactly how many things you can use at the same time. Bear with me for a second. The Powerboost, you can charge up to like 2,000 watts, and you can have at the same time while charging, bear with me, one electric heater, a television, a portable speaker, and a mini fridge and a blender, so up to 2,000 watts. That is so impressive. In fact, it was on the news that a gentleman from Texas, while they were going through that power outage, he was able to actually supply power to his house. That's insane. Imagine going camping with this. And it's located right in here. But you have 4 plugs. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have the maximum one over here at the top. You have the button for the generator, you start it up, and you're good to go. That is quite impressive. Now, having said that, the Toyota also does offer a 120 volts plug at the back, but with Toyota Tundra, you have to have the car on for it to supply the power, which means you're going to burn a lot of fuel. In this case, it has its own generator, which again is very, very impressive. Absolutely love the fact that they offered that. Now, let me show you what the Tundra offers that you don't get with the F-150. This over here is the side mirror of the Toyota Tundra. And of course, you can tell it's gigantic. Look at this, my giant head can hide behind it. But here's what I love about this. First of all, this is not the normal position. What I mean with that? Well, so see over here, this thing is extended out. You have a button located onto the left side of the steering wheel, steering column in this case, that can actually slide the mirror further out. There's also a light over onto the side that projects to the back in case if you need some brightness around this area. But what's important is that it has a split mirror. The only thing I was able to find is that this is the only one that you can adjust. This, I believe, you have to do it sort of manually, which again, it's okay. Look at the size of this mirror. You can't even see my head. Completely invisible. Now let me show you the Ford F-150. Maybe the size of my palm. Like, look at that. On the side of the tail light at the back, there's a button over here for the Tundra. You press that and it opens the tailgate. So you have a few options. First, it's through the key fob. Second, there's a button underneath here and then one on the side. Now, I know what you're going to say, Sam, the Tundra has a side step that you can add as a feature. Don't worry, I looked it up. Basically goes onto the left side over here, so they use it as a side step to get onto the bed. I understand that, but it's a bit obstructive and it's an added accessory. Meanwhile, the Ford has it nice and tucked in, which again, I think it's a better option. The next thing we want to move on to is the second row, and let's start first with the Tundra. Into the second row. Of course, this is the Crew Max, so you get 5 seats in total, 3 in the back, 2 in the front. But what's important is that what it offers under the seats. First, you can fold single, dual on that side. You fold this, hopefully. 1, 2, and then you really gotta go hard. But if you look carefully, Toyota offers a lot of space in here, a lot more than you get with the F-150. You can actually fit quite a lot under the seats, and I absolutely love that. There's also the battery on this side, I believe, and you have these dividers. So if you wanted to divide the space and use it for different things, you can use these dividers. They're actually very, very handy. There's levers on the side here, you pull them, and then you fold the seats, and there is one on that side. But here's what I don't like about the second row in here. Let me show you in a second. Let me just fold that seats over there too. I'm gonna get in. So you fold that. If you look carefully, my head is actually touching the roof. I'm 6'2", so I don't find this very comfortable, but I'm gonna get into the middle where it actually gets even worse than that. So, yeah, this is not good. Not good at all. Now, let me show you the Ford F-150. The F-150 has similar system. You can fold the seats, that way you get more access to this area. But here's one thing though. You get a lot more space in here with these folded. Like, look at that. You can actually fit here a bicycle probably, You can fit quite a lot. But they've also thought about the space under this side. So now you have this divider that gives you extra space, and you can also fold the seats while this is up, and it has like locks on each side. I would assume this is probably going to be used very much for hunting rifles. If you go out there hunting, where you put your gun, well, you can put it over here because it's easily hidden. Now let's talk about the space, and let me fold the seat first here. There we go. Jumping into the F-150, it's already nice. And look at that. You got a lot more space, leg room, headroom in the F-150. I love this. It feels a lot more spacious just being here. But in the F-150, with this package, we only get heated seats in the second row. And while in the Tundra, you get heated seats and ventilated seats, and they both offer the 120 volts charging port in here in case if you want to use it with something that can take that kind of power. Let's jump into the front, and let's start first with the F-150 because this thing has a lot of goodies. Thank you, Ford, for the automatic running board. Easy to get in. Absolutely love that. The F-150, of course, is the standard F-150 that you'd find in other trims as well. So you get a lot of tech features. But let's start first with the details that I absolutely love about this vehicle. You have seen this by now. It's very popular. No, I don't want slippery and I don't want music. The gear knob, of course, you press a button in the front and the gear knob falls. But why is that? If you didn't know, well, guess what? This becomes your work table, your lunch table, your work table. You can put your laptop here, which is probably the size of that screen in there. But look at this, it gives you so much. This thing is kind of like a house, and there's so much more space underneath here. There's this little thing that you see here, this container, which you can put coins on the side. The armrest underneath here, you could probably fit a lot of things. 2 cup holders, wireless charging pad, and so on. So this is quite helpful, especially if you're working construction or if you just do video editing like I do. You put your laptop here, you're having your lunch onto the side, you can work, you can do everything. But it also has 120 volts over here in case if you wanted to charge your computer. So you can use your computer here, work, and do everything. It's perfect. Absolutely love that. Another thing that I love about this is the seats. You see, this seat over here can actually turn into, well, let's say almost a bed. So if you want to take a nap for, let's say you work construction, you want to take a nice nap, well, guess what? You can actually fold this thing pretty flat and turn it to a little bit of a bed. And most importantly, you move the seats at the back, you fold that, and it gives you more space. The next thing that you get with the F-150 is the B&O audio system, but you see, it's not just a standard one. The headrests over here actually have speakers, both sides. It has an amazing audio system, and I love having them here because you can really experience the music or podcast in some cases. You also have a lot of storage in here, and one of those, you press this button, you get the part over to the side, then you get more underneath here, you press that button. Now let's get into the actual infotainment display because there are a few goodies in here too that you're missing in the Tundra. It has this massive screen in the center, amazing, love that. But here's what I love the most. If you click into features, you have a few options. First, you can control the running boards, then you have your Pro Power on board, which is technically your generator. The next thing that you probably, maybe you didn't know, it's the zone lighting. So at night, in case if you can't see around the vehicle, you can turn on each light. Look at that. So that way, you have a full 360 view what's around your vehicle, and if you click on that, it will tell you exactly how to use it, and you can only do it when the vehicle is stationary, so you can't do it while you're driving, and I'm assuming you don't want that. You have all the zones so you can do individually. I love that feature. The next one is, of course, onboard scales. Now this, it's pretty cool. In this case, the vehicle is not pointed correctly, so we can't really use it. We're not in a leveled area. But what this does is basically measures the weight that you have in the back. Yes, that's how amazing this thing is. It has its own scale. Let's just say, for example, your scale at home doesn't work and you want to weigh yourself, maybe you can jump in the back and it will tell you exactly what your weight is. The next thing is the smart hitch. And this one it's well done for the F-150 because it really helps you to get the hitch perfectly aligned with the trailer. That I absolutely love. The next one is the power flow. Like, this shows you where the battery is, and as I said previously, we don't have the hybrid Tundra, so we can't really do that comparison in terms of like the engine, but I have driven the hybrid Tundra. We'll give you an idea how they compare. Those are some of the interesting features that this has. The next thing I love about this is the 360 camera. It is the clearest out of the two. We'll show you the one in the Tundra, but this one, absolutely love it. And you can also do zoom in on each side. Look at that. You want to see a specific area? You can do that. Next feature that this offers is parallel parking. So the vehicle can actually park itself. In case if you're too frightened to park the F-150 because it's too large, but guess what? This has that. And it saves where you parked initially, it keeps that in the actual system, and the next time you go in, it knows exactly how to park. That is very, very handy for a vehicle this large. The next thing also that you get with the F-150, it's called the Blue Cruise. Basically, the car drives itself in major highways. So it's not everywhere, it only drives itself major highways. Now, technically, you're supposed to have your hands on the wheel because legally, especially in Canada, you're not allowed to take off your hands off the wheel, so you must have them at all time. But in this case, let's just say you're doing a long trip and somehow you got tired a bit. Well, guess what? This is going to be a game changer. And I've tried it before in other vehicles, in Lincoln as well. It's beautiful, something that you don't get with the Tundra. Now, this is a feature that a lot of people forget about it, but this is actually pretty cool, especially if you're tall or in some cases if you're short, you can't reach to the pedals. You have this button over here and you can actually adjust the gas and the brake pedals. So that way you can get it perfectly positioned for your own height. How cool is that? Okay, this Tundra definitely needs a running board or something like a side step. First of all, when you jump from that F-150 to the Tundra, you realize the difference in design. These two are designed completely different. Tundra has this massive screen in the center, over 14-inch, which again, quite nice. But this is so much more rugged built, and with this 1794 edition, it was made specifically for Texas. The wood finish interior, the mixed two-tone colors as well, absolutely like that. But I have to say, overall, the F-150 feels larger for me, that I'm 6'2". And another thing I noticed with this, the windshield in the front is so much smaller in comparison to the F-150, so visibility around this area is not the best, and especially with these massive wing mirrors onto the side, really doesn't help the situation. But those are very handy to look onto the side or maybe the back. Next thing you want to talk about features. So you get the standard heated seats, ventilated seats, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, connectivity, built-in navigation system, and so on, wireless charging pads. But it also has its own little quirks, like for example, the armrest over here, it's like a maze trying to open it and find. There's like space here, more space onto the side. You push this, you open it, there's more space in here. Then there is this divider as well if you wanted to use. It's literally an absolute maze. It also has coin places that you can put your coins. It's a big armrest. I find the one in F-150, it's much deeper. And then you have the wood finish here for the cup holders. And then onto the side, you have the stand for the wireless charging pads. Now, here's one thing that I do love about this is the rear view mirror at the top that basically displays the camera at the back, something that you don't get with the F-150. Very, very handy. This also has a heads-up display, digital cluster, and most importantly, you do have lane assist, gap assist as well, so it kind of drives itself, but it's not full self-driving like the one you find in the F-150. The seats are leather all around. I like this. But one thing I have to say, when you jump into the Tundra, it doesn't feel like a pickup truck in some ways. You get into the F-150 and you realize that it's an F-150. It's a pickup truck because it's so much larger on the inside. This, on the other hand, not so much. It feels more like an SUV. That's the way I feel in this truck. Both have panoramic roofs, which again, very important. It gives that brightness inside, especially for my camera guy. He loves that. So that way we don't have to turn on the massive lights in here to trying to like get so much brightness into the interior. I like this. I like how it's designed, and you also get leg extension. So for the driver onto the side, you can get leg extensions so you can fix it to your needs. Love the interior, rubber mats, have that 1794 edition. Love the stitching, the design. It has rubber mats all around, so easy to clean. I like the interior of this. Now let's talk about horsepower and torque and what do you get in terms of the engine options. The Tundra that we have for today's video, it's not the hybrids. The hybrids unfortunately was not available. So here's what this offers. You have a 3.5 liter V6 engine and it makes 346 brake horsepower and 405 pound-feet of torque. Now, the one that has the iForce Max with the electric motor, it makes 437 brake horsepower and 583 pound-feet of torque. The hybrid is a self-charging and capable of running on its own battery alone at lower speed, and both engines use a 10-speed automatic transmission. The Tundra can tow up to 12,000 pounds. Meanwhile, the payload, it's 1,940 pounds. MPG, 20 MPG for city and 24 MPG for highway. The F150 has also a 3.5 liter V6. It's the Powerboost option in this case, and this one makes 430 brake horsepower and 570 pound-feet of torque. So you have 44 horsepower from the electric motor and 221 pound-feet of torque from the electric motor. It is, of course, equipped with a 10-speed automatic transmission. The F150 gets 25 for highway and 23 miles per gallon for city drive. In this case, the Powerboost can tow 12,700 pounds, 700 pounds more than the Tundra, but a different trim can tow up to 14,000 pounds. The payload in this case is 2,120 pounds. The non-hybrid, of course, can tow up to 14,000 pounds. Now the next question is, how do they drive? Well, because the F150 is a hybrid, it does make more horsepower than the standard V6 on the Tundra. It does feel a bit more powerful, more zippy. This thing pulls hard for its weight. In fact, the F150 hybrid, it's about 150 pounds or so heavier than the Tundra. The Tundra does have a lighter body overall in comparison to this, even the hybrid. But I have driven them both this week back to back, and here's what I can tell you. The F150 feels like a truck. It drives like a truck. It has a very soft suspension system. It feels like a bit of a boat in many ways, but it has a soft ride. In the Tundra, feels a little bit heavier and it does feel stiffer on the road. Maybe some people will enjoy that. For me, I like that soft ride that the F-150 has. It feels a bit more comfortable, and I also love the fact that this is a bit more roomy. The windshield in the front is not so small. For visibility, this F-150 is slightly better. The other thing I noticed that the Tundra with that package doesn't have the little window in the rear windshield. Meanwhile, in the Ford F-150, the one that we have, does have, and it is powered. That means that you can open it through the button located right here at the top. It's a nice, helpful thing to have if you don't want to open the windows on the side and you don't want to turn on the AC. That gives a bit of air onto the interior, like it cools the interior part. Now, maybe you have a pet that wants to get some fresh air through the back, so you don't have to open the window on the side, and that way you keep the dog inside. Otherwise, it will just jump off the freaking car. But that little window does help. It's a pet friendly, I would say. I like how the F-150 drives. It pulls hard. Having said that, I do think that the Tundra is still a great package overall, and what's important, the one that we were driving right now, the F-150 Hybrid Limited, the price tag is about $108,000. The Tundra is about $80,000. That's $28,000 more for the F-150. So that's another huge advantage for the Tundra. The price difference is massive, and even the fully loaded Tundra that I spec'd out last night in Canada, maximum you're going to pay it's about $95,000, $96,000. The F-150, it's over that. So that might not be the best choice if you were looking, because your budget is not enough to get the F-150, but that doesn't mean you have to get the hybrid, because the hybrid is where it costs a lot of money, especially with all the goodies that I mentioned previously. The F-150 definitely can get pretty expensive if you keep adding those. Now, having said that, I do think that it's still worth for the price because you're getting so much for the money. It's such a great package overall, and space-wise, towing capacity, all the tech features, the driving capabilities as well, huge difference between the two of them. Having that driver assistant package as well for the F-150, the Blue Cruise that Ford offers, really makes this a great package overall, especially because people, I think, will use this for long trips as well with their families. On paper, I think the Ford F-150 Hybrid Powerboost is definitely the pick because it does give so much for the money. But the Tundra has such a great price and you're still getting a lot for the money. You get a lot of tech features, especially those side mirrors do help a lot if you're towing. The Tundra is still up there. It all comes down to what's your budget and which one do you like driving, because they're very different how they drive. They're very, very different. And if you drive them back to back, you'll 100% agree with me. The Tundra feels totally different on the road in comparison to the F-150 Hybrid, in comparison to every F-150 for that matter. Me personally, if I didn't live in an apartment building, I would take the F-150. But even having said that, this thing will hold value in the long run because they're so popular. Let's not forget, the Ford brand sells a lot of F-150s. I mean, you see them everywhere, and best-selling pickup truck in Canada as well. Can't beat it.